What is up, guys? My name is Elijah Workman, and I am the host of the podcast, the new podcast called The Birds and the Bees. Why they name Birds and the Bees? Well, birds is the Eagles, and bees are other things, not what you're thinking of, but other things as in sports-related content. Could be F1, it could be MLB, whatever gets engagement. We'll see what happens, whatever I feel like talking about, and we'll just go from there. So, obviously, we're a week and a few days, just about a week and a few days removed from the Super Bowl. And I want to talk about the Super Bowl. I want to talk about the 3 reasons the Eagles won that game. And then we'll segue into the next topic. But to start off, the first reason that the Eagles won that game is because of the defense. This is obvious. This is hands down. This defense was hands down one of the best defenses that we've seen in not only Eagles history, but in NFL history. This defense was unbelievable. From start to finish, from the beginning of the year to the end of the year, this defense was really, really good. Cooper DeJean, to me, he's the slot corner was the biggest issue, and he got rid of the issue very quickly. Vic Fangio, the scheme, he was just such a good defensive coordinator. His adjustments, this was a very, very good defense, a very good defensive coordinator. And Vic Fangio, who's going to be here to stay for quite some time, which makes me really happy to see. But you look at the defensive line, and you look at that, and that was the reason the Eagles won this game. They were able to get pressure on Mahomes without blitzing. And then you add the fact that the Eagles have a good secondary, and it's over. You're throwing in a good coverage, and you're getting pressure. You can't do anything as a quarterback, no matter how good you are. There's nothing that you can do about that. And you look at the names on the defensive line: Josh Sweat, Nolan Smith, Jalen Hunt, Brandon Graham, Milton Williams, Mauro Jomo, and Jalen Carter. Jalen Carter, to me, in my opinion, and there's so many guys on this defense that you can make an argument for. Quinyon Mitchell, you can make an argument for Cooper DeJean, Bond. You can make an argument. Jalen Carter is the best player on this defense. Jalen Carter is the best defensive tackle in the league. And he is on track to be one of the greatest defensive tackles ever. He is a beast. He is a force, and he is amazing. I love the way he plays. I love Jalen Carter. He is just a violent player. And him smacking Mahomes in the face after he got strip sacked, my respect went up for him a lot after he did that. That was one of my favorite moments of the whole Super Bowl. But no, this defense was really good. Zach Bond, unbelievable player, incredible signing, and let's give credit to Treylon Burks. Last year in the Super Bowl, he got cooked by Travis Kelce, replacing Dre Greenlaw, and he had an unbelievable game. He filled in immaculately for Nakobe Dean, who is also an excellent linebacker. Can't wait for him to come back. But you got depth at linebacker. And I was skeptical when they lost Devin White because I didn't know if Nakobe Dean was going to be, that good or not. And he was just amazing. And Vic Fangio brings the best out of his guys. Bond's been amazing. Quinyon Mitchell's been at least the top 10 corner in the league, if not top 5. Cooper DeJean, one of the best slots in the NFL. Darius Slay, while old and having moments in coverage where he, didn't look like his old self. And, having, like I said, having those moments in coverage where he didn't really look like it himself. He still made plays when he needed to make plays. He was clutch. And you're old. You're in your 30s and you lose your step. But when he needed to make veteran plays, he made veteran plays. So I look at him as one of those guys that made a huge impact for the Eagles. Reed Blankenship, he's a solid piece there at safety, and C.J. Gardner-Johnson takes so much hate. He's the top 10 safety in the league. He proved it this year. He started off a little bit rough, and he finished incredible. This defense was built with strategy, with purpose, and how he knew what he was doing creating this defense, getting Quinyon Mitchell, getting Cooper DeJean, getting Jalen Carter, getting Nolan Smith. These guys, Reed Blankenship, Nakobe Dean, these guys were drafted. Milton Williams was drafted. Nolan Smith, Jalen Hunt, Brandon Graham, Zach Bond. Not Zach Bond. I'm sorry. Nakobe Dean, drafted. Quinyon Mitchell, drafted. Cooper DeJean, drafted. Reed Blankenship, drafted. These guys were drafted by the Eagles. There's a couple guys that weren't. Darius Slay wasn't drafted by the Eagles. Isaiah Rodgers wasn't drafted by the Eagles. And Zach Bond, there's probably maybe a few more are missing, but those were the guys that got the most playing time. Shout out Isaiah Rodgers, had a really good season too. This defense was the X factor in winning this game. One of the biggest X factors in winning this game. Getting pressure on Mahomes without blitzing him, making him throw into coverage. That's the way you beat this team. You get pressure on Mahomes, and if your secondary can play at least an average level, you could beat this team. That's the formula. And even though they held Jalen Carter and they held pretty much every other play, still couldn't do anything about it. Let's talk about the second reason the Eagles won this game. And the second reason the Eagles won this game is Jalen Hurts. It's Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts played an unbelievable game. One interception, couple missed throws, but still played a fantastic game all around and proved to the world that he may not be as fast as Lamar. He may not have the strongest arm. He may not, and he does have a strong arm. I'll credit him for his arm strength. He doesn't have the arm that Josh Allen has and the crazy off-platform ability, but he's talented enough, he's big enough, he's strong enough, and he's a winner. And he knows how to elevate teams, and he knows how to manage games, and he knows how to win games. He's clutch. He has it about him. He has that factor about him to where he can just step up and play amazing. I watched him do it in 2023 when Brian Johnson was calling meaningful plays for the Eagles, and it was one of the worst schemed Eagles teams I've ever seen in my life on offense. It was horrible. Horrible scheme. I mean, the route concepts were so bad. The play calling was so bad. And this guy, and Jalen Hurts managed to get that team 11 wins. I don't know how he did it. He somehow got the Eagles to 11 wins with a horrible offensive coordinator. And I don't want to bash on him because I don't think he was ready for the role yet. And you kind of throw him into the limelight. And Nick Sirianni doesn't really call plays, so it's not like he's an offensive coordinator with a coach like Kyle Shanahan or Matt LaFleur or Sean McVay that calls the plays so we can kind of develop. He just got thrown in. And so that kind of changed the dynamic. And so it was a tough start for him, but he wasn't ready for it yet. And this game was terrible. Everyone knows it. Everyone saw it. No disrespect to him, though. But Jalen Hurts, man, we're going to talk more about him in a little bit in this video, but starting off with those two things, jumping back into this, I want to segue a little bit here, and I want to talk about we talked about the Eagles defense, we talked about the Eagles offense, we talked about those two things being key, the Eagles offensive line obviously being key, but I want to talk about Jalen Hurts now. I want to talk about Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts gets way too much hate. He is the most hated quarterback in the NFL by a large margin. Maybe Dak, but dude, Jalen Hurts takes a stupid amount of hate. There's no question that he's top 5 in the league. There's just no question about it. Mahomes is at 1, and the big 4, Burrow, Hurts, Lamar, Josh Allen, anywhere in that 4 from 5 to 2, you could throw anywhere, and I'm not going to argue with you. If you say Hurts is at 2, Lamar's at 5, or Hurts is at 5, which most people are going to say, and Lamar's at 2, I'm not going to sit here and argue with you. They're both, I mean, all those quarterbacks are really good, and the gap between them is so small, you can't really make a huge argument. You can make an argument for all of them being over one another, but it's not like the end of the world if you put Hurts lower than Allen. I'm not going to throw a fit. It makes sense. Now, I rank my quarterbacks based on which quarterback I'd rather have if I had a team from scratch and I need to start over. Who would I pick? Mahomes at 1. For me, Burrow's at 2 because Joe Burrow has literally taken a team with safety cones for an offensive line to a Super Bowl and an average at best defense. That defense was not, he's never had a top 10 defense. He's never had a top 10 defense. Zach Taylor, he ain't Sean McVay. He's okay. He's a coach. He's a coach. He's somebody, but never really had a great run game either. Never really had a great running game. I mean, he had Joe Mixon for some time, but the running game, they don't really feature the run game that well. Chase Brown, I'm not saying he's a bad player. Hashtag or shout out, City Brown's twin brother. He's a good player, but they're not a run first team. They're a pass first team. And when you can throw the ball 40 to 60 times consistently and still be productive without defenses figuring you out and shutting you down is very impressive. He's a very good quarterback. He's a very good passer. He's very cool. He's calm. He's collected. He knows how to elevate a team. He knows how to manage a game. He's great. He might be better than any quarterback in the league right now pre-snap. He's very, 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 very good pre-snap. And he's just, and I know I don't like to play hypotheticals. I go off facts, but it is so hard to argue that there's anyone that for me to argue someone over Burrow. It's hard because Joe Burrow is just such a good passer, and he's never really had a great team around him. I would have to guess if he had a better defense, he would at least have another ring or been to another Super Bowl. That's just me. I don't like to play hypotheticals. But if I had to guess, that's what I would say. And I don't like to do the hypothetical stuff. It's stupid. Like if Justin Herbert was on the Eagles, he'd have, okay, if all you have to say is if, and the if man and the hypotheticals, he would be, you can't make your point. I like to go off facts. And I see that Joe Burrow took a really, like an average team. I know he had really good receivers. Outside of that, the rest of the team was mid to me to his Super Bowl. And he played a great Super Bowl game amidst the situation he was in. So I have to give credit there to Joe Burrow for beating Patrick Mahomes in Arrowhead, getting to a Super Bowl. That's impressive, especially in the playoffs. That's very hard to do. So I give him credit for that. And he's good against Mahomes. He's beaten him before. It's not like it's not a big hump for him to get over. Lamar Jackson, not so great against Mahomes in the playoffs. Josh Allen, not so great against Mahomes in the playoffs. I mean, Lamar, not so great against Mahomes, period. But for me, it's Burrow at 2. Hurts is my 3. And again, you can change this. This isn't like there's no questions asked for me. And I might be a little bit biased here, but bias aside, you've been to a Super Bowl, played great in that Super Bowl with no run game and a terrible secondary. One of the best Super Bowl performances ever. Now that you have a better defense, you blow the team out. So you stay consistent with your play. You stay consistent. You don't play down. He played a really maybe not as good in 22 because he wasn't throwing the ball as much because the defense was making so much more plays this year. But he had he had to make some plays in the Super Bowl, and he did. And now he had a better defense, and the team blew him out. If the Eagles had a better defense in 2022, Hurts played that same kind of game, they would have won by had at least a half better defense. They would have won by at least 10 points. But they didn't win that game because their biggest asset was pass rush, and neither team could rush the passer in that game because of the quality of the turf, and it favored the Chiefs more because the Eagles secondary was worse. And they just got fried. I'll admit it, Debo was right about the secondary. It just wasn't very good. It wasn't very good. Jonathan Gannon was not a very good defensive coordinator. Did a terrible job scheming, didn't adjust at all in that game. Didn't seem like he prepared well. Seemed like he was messing around with Arizona before Howie seemed really upset about it. Jonathan Gannon is up there with Chip Kelly for me in most disliked coaches. That's just what I got to say. That's just my opinion. So we'll talk about, I mean, that's a different conversation for a different day. But talking about Jalen Hurts, consistently good in 2 Super Bowls, consistently good in the playoffs, consistently good against, he's beaten Jackson, he's beaten Burrow, he's beaten Allen, he's beaten Mahomes. He's beaten all those guys. He's outplayed Mahomes 3 out of the 4 times that he's played him. Beat him in Arrowhead in crappy weather. Beat him in the Super Bowl. Outplayed him in the Super Bowl in 22. And the only time Mahomes outplayed Hurts was when it was Hurts' first year as a starter in the league, and he was throwing meaningful passes to Quez Watkins and Jalen Reagor, and Smitty was his wide receiver 1. No complaints about Smitty being wide receiver 1. I think for a lot of teams he could be. Like for the Ravens, he'd be a wide receiver 1. But not much depth outside of that. Not a fantastic run game either. So I look at Jalen Hurts and I say, yeah, he knows how to manage games. And I think as a quarterback, you have to have 3 things. You need to manage games, you need to elevate teams, and you need to be clutch. And Jalen Hurts, because he's a winner, he knows how to elevate teams, and he knows how to not only elevate teams but pull out wins and be clutch because he's a winner. If you're a winner, you have the clutch gene and the elevate gene. And for some quarterbacks, they have the elevate gene and they can elevate, like Lamar Jackson can elevate. Sometimes he struggles to manage a game, take what the defense gives him, play smart, and then win that way. Jalen Hurts wins however it's possible. Takes what the defense gives him. If he needs to run, he runs. If he needs to check down, he checks down. If he needs to go deep, he goes deep. Then he can do all 3. And that's why he's one of the, to me, that's why there's no question about him being top three, because he can do all three things. He did it in 2023 by playing hero ball, got that team to the playoffs with 11 wins. That team was not good. The defense was terrible. The offensive coordinator was terrible. The play calling was terrible. I mean, it was a mess. And he took that team. They got blown out by Baker Mayfield in the wild card round, which tells you how bad of a team that they were. But again, Jalen Hurts having to play a lot of hero ball, and eventually it caught up to him. You can't play hero ball and win a Super Bowl. No quarterback has played hero ball every single week and won a Super Bowl. It doesn't happen. To win a Super Bowl, you have to have a good team, but you have to answer the bell when you need to do it. And Jalen Hurts has done it. He's had solid teams. He's had great teams. Like this year, this was a great team. In 2022, it was a really good offense, not so much defense. In 2023, the offense had talent, but there wasn't great coaching. And man, he answered the bell against Josh Allen. He answered the bell against Mahomes. He's beaten Lamar before. He's beaten Lamar this year. He beat Burrow this year. And in 22, he took that team to a Super Bowl without Saquon Barkley. So you can say, oh, he needs Saquon. No, he doesn't. So that is my reasoning for him being who he is. I don't discredit Allen when I praise him. I don't discredit Lamar. They're all great elite quarterbacks that, and I don't want to play hypotheticals. Some of them haven't gotten lucky with their situation. Like Lamar didn't have Zay Flowers this year in the playoffs. But let's move on to number 4. That's going to be Lamar. Inconsistent as a passer in his career. He's a great thrower. Great arm strength, good off platform, good velocity, struggles with timing, sometimes struggles with reading the field, sometimes he struggles with rhythm, and he can be a little bit inconsistent there. This year was his best year though, so he improved a lot this year as a passer, timing, rhythm, anticipation, all that stuff. He was good this year. So for me, I put him at 4 just because he's the best running quarterback of all time, and his trajectory looks good with his passing. So I would put him at 4. He doesn't turn the ball over as much as Josh Allen turns the ball over. And I know that there's been situations before where he's literally thrown game-losing interceptions. I've seen it happen. He's done it more than Jalen Hurts, Joe Burrow, or Mahomes has done it. There's no question about that. Again, when we're talking about guys like Lamar Jackson, I want to reiterate, it doesn't really, they're all very close to each other. They're all very talented. Like Lamar Jackson is a more talented player than Jalen Hurts. He's faster. I think he has. I know Jalen's got a cannon, but there's no question about it that Lamar's more talented than Jalen Hurts. That does not make him a better quarterback. Michael Vick was more talented than Tom Brady. Does not make him a better quarterback. Aaron Rodgers was more talented than Tom Brady. That does not make him a better quarterback all time. You could even make the argument that Drew Brees is a greater quarterback all time than Aaron Rodgers. Does not make him more talented than Aaron Rodgers. That's not the key. Like people say talent. Yeah, it's important, but you don't need to be uber talented. If you don't have physical, like Jalen doesn't have anything physically that holds him back. He can throw the ball far, he can move, and he can throw off platform. He may not be able to do it as exceptionally as Lamar, but in here, Jalen Hurts is better. Jalen Hurts is better pre-snap than Lamar. Jalen Hurts, in my opinion, is able to play a more humble version of football without turning the ball over, playing to his strengths, letting the defense do what it does, take what the defense gives you. So that's why I put Hurts over Lamar. I think he's better overall, more as a consistent passer, with his rhythm, with his timing, with his anticipation, his ability to read the field and pre-snap. He's a great field general. And then 5, I'm going to go with Josh Allen. He is really good. And I think that he's a better passer than Lamar. I also think that he has more arm talent, but he's very, 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 very reckless. And this year, he turns the ball over a lot, and sometimes it's lost them games. He struggles to manage games. He did it against the Ravens this year, and against the Chiefs, he had a pretty good game managing the game. He should have more Super Bowl appearances than he does. The fact that he doesn't have any, there's been some BS that he's dealt with in the playoffs. Just some crazy, just stupid stuff. He should be in the Super Bowl by now, but we're not going to play hypotheticals. Josh Allen at 5, uber talented. This could change all the time. Like this is my final top 5. And then if we want, we can go. Let's finish the top 5 out. Let's go number 6. Number 6 is Jaden Daniels. NFC Conference Championship game in your rookie year with the team no one thought was supposed to make it into the playoffs. I'll take it. I mean, I know they got destroyed by the Eagles. They weren't even close to being the same team as the Eagles were this year. But Jaden Daniels' trajectory is insane. He is a really good passer. He's really clutch. He's really mobile. He can't take as many hits as he normally does. I think he could do better at managing games at times. But even still, I've seen him manage games well this year. He is on a road to being really, really, really good. Like top 3. Like he is on that road. Insane rookie year from him. We'll see what he does next year. This year was so good. I'm hoping and as an Eagles fan, I kind of hope maybe he doesn't have that kind of year again. You don't want to deal with that. But in all honesty, I don't know. It would be very interesting to see if this rookie year was like his ceiling, because some quarterbacks do that. They have their ceiling their rookie year. It's rare, but it happens. So I'm interested to see if he hits the ceiling, if that was his ceiling, if that was the best play you're going to see from him, because that's very hard to replicate. If he does it again, hats off to him. We'll see what happens. Very good quarterback, though. Insane processing, insane passing. He's just very good. He reminds me of a more polished version of Lamar Jackson. Like, he looks like a more polished. He's not quite as talented, especially with the ball in his hands. He's very good with the ball. He's just a really, really good running quarterback. Like, I would say he's a better running quarterback than Jalen Hurts is. Probably easier to tackle, but more agile and faster, which is like the two massive things. And his acceleration is very good. But I've seen him in games where, as a rookie, I can't even believe he's a rookie because he's so good at processing. He's on the road for sure. He's a very, very good young quarterback. Number 7, hot take. I'm going to go Matthew Stafford, number 7. Veteran, still balling out. Not a very good offensive line. Nearly beat the Eagles in the snow. Had a very impressive game against the Eagles in the snow. Was clutch until the end. Jalen Carter just blew past the O-line, sacked him, and that was pretty much the game. Otherwise, very good year. Very good player. Proved that he could win a Super Bowl and answer the bell when needed. Even though he was on a Lions team that was inconsistent for years, never really gave him much. He gets on a good team with a good coach, a good offensive coordinator, and does the job. And he's a very good quarterback. I mean, he's a veteran guy. His arm talent is insane. His throwing ability is insane. He's great pre-snap. The only reason I have him at 7 is his age. And his play is just going to kind of slowly decline as he gets older. But Matthew Stafford is one of my favorite players in the league. Number 8, I'm going to go CJ Stroud, number 8. Lost a lot of receivers this year. Didn't have a great year. I mean, he turned the ball over a little bit. He was inconsistent more so than last year. But again, some injuries on offense. Bobby Slowick did, I believe he got fired. So I think we saw a step back from them offensively. Still got to the divisional round. He's a guy that if he gets some consistency around him and some consistency more at defense, and I think they have a solid defense right now, and more consistency with guys staying healthy, he will be in the conference championship game in no time. Very good quarterback. I like him a lot. Great arm, great processing, great timing, very good passer. Everyone said he couldn't do it, and here he is doing it. Number 9, and this one is a little bit tougher for me because there's a lot of quarterbacks I could put here at 9. But at 9, I'm going to get hate. I'm going to go Baker Mayfield. I'm going to go Baker Mayfield at 9. And Baker Mayfield is a dog, man. Baker Mayfield is a really, really, really good football player. He has a cannon of an arm. He's gritty. He's athletic. He's mobile. He plays too much hero ball sometimes. He can be inconsistent as a passer sometimes, but he is fun to watch. Had a fantastic season. I'm going to see what he does next year when they build some pieces. That team could be on the brink of contention. But I think he's more talented than the guy I'm going to put at 10. And I think that if he had the same setup as Jared Goff did, I think that there's potential that he could do more with it, which reveals my 10, Jared Goff. No disrespect to Jared Goff, and if you put Jared Goff over Baker, I'm not going to laugh. I'm not going to be heated. It's just a little bit of a hot take. But Jared Goff is a really good quarterback. But man, the second things get out of sorts, the second he gets under pressure, the second things aren't going his way, he struggles. And I think he's a game manager, and that's not a diss. Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback ever, game manager. Peyton Manning was a game manager. Drew Brees was a game manager. So you can be the greatest quarterback ever and be a game manager. I even think Jalen Hurts is a game manager. Again, not a diss. Patrick Mahomes this year and last year was a game manager. But he's a good game manager, but he passed out. He doesn't really have much outside of that. Like he's got a good arm. He's got good accuracy. He's got good delivery and good ball placement, but off platform, sometimes off rhythm. He's a very rhythm based guy. He's got to be in rhythm. He's got to have his timing, his stride, his hitch, and his turn into the throw. And if he doesn't have all those things in sync, if you watch the film, he struggles. He struggles to kind of to do things off platform, out of sorts. Otherwise, he's a very good young quarterback. I shouldn't say young. It's crazy to me that Jared Goff's already a veteran quarterback. That's just insane. Feels like yesterday he was a rookie. But no, Jared Goff, good veteran piece, but struggles off platform in some of the situations. And that's kind of my top 10. I think you could make different points of view on that. But here is the next thing I want to go into, and the last thing I want to go into. And I'm kind of going to throw a little bit of bonus content in here. I want to talk about my hot take of the NFL draft. Way too early takes on the NFL draft. I'm going to start this off, and I don't want to hate on people because I'm not playing in college football, and I'm not up there. I don't want to hate because hating is stupid. But I do not think that Shedeur Sanders is going to start in the NFL more than 3 years. I don't think it's going to happen. I look at the teams that could draft him. I look at him as a player. I don't see it. That's my hot take. People are going to think I'm crazy. It's a hot take. It's thrown it out there for a reason. And there's a good chance that it's wrong. But I do not see it happening. I do not see Shedeur Sanders being a guy that ends up being a franchise quarterback. And I don't like hating. Like I even when I say that, I feel stupid because it's like so many people said this about Jalen Hurts and look what he did. I'm not saying he can't be. I'm not saying he's even bad, but I'm just saying, in my opinion, if you gave me Jackson Dart and you gave me Shedeur Sanders and you said pick a quarterback to lead your franchise tomorrow, I'm not taking Shedeur Sanders. I'm taking Jackson Dart. I'm taking Jackson Dart. No questions asked. And I don't know. I think that Jackson Dart has better upside. I don't like Shedeur Sanders' character. He's way, way, way too self-absorbed. Way too self-absorbed. And way, way too arrogant for me, for my liking, if I wanted to pick a franchise quarterback. Another GM might like it, and you might like it. That's great. I don't. And I don't think that it's going to fare him well in the long run. That's just me, though. I think Jackson Dart is a better passer. I think that he has a stronger arm, more arm talent. He's better pre-snap, and he has inconsistencies. He has issues, but I like him better as a prospect than I like Shedeur Sanders. And I think there's a lot of hype around Shedeur, who he could be, his ceiling. Because his ceiling's high, but to me, talent-wise, Shedeur Sanders is a round 2 talent. Cam Ward is by far and away the best quarterback in this draft class. You watch the film, you watch both of these guys play. Cam Ward, it's not even close. Like, it's Cam Ward. Like, there's an island, there's an ocean between Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders. There's no question about it. Shedeur Sanders is he can't tie Cam Ward's his cleats. He can't. Cam Ward is by far and away better than Shedeur Sanders is. But Jackson Dart is also really good. I like Dillon Gabriel. I like Dillon Gabriel a lot too. I'm not going to say over Shedeur Sanders. I like Dillon Gabriel. I think that he's a good player. He's got good velocity. He's very good in the pocket. He's seasoned. He has really good timing. He works well on the run. He works well in the pocket. He doesn't have the ceiling that Jackson Dart has. I think that he's more closer in that range. I'm not going to take him over Dart or Sanders, but he's good. Jalen Milroe, very low floor, but very high ceiling if you can figure it out and kind of deal with his hand size. That is going to be it for the podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed it. First episode. It's rusty. It's going to get better. I'm going to get better. And stay tuned for the next episode. Go Birds.